Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast,
where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives without it being so boring. I'm your host, Dr. LondonSmith.com. I'd like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've experienced some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as trochanteric bursitis and tetanus. So I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Dr. London, Halloween has snuck up on us once again. It is frightening how quickly it sort of popped out of the hall. You know that thing I do when you're walking down the hallway in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom? And I've been waiting there for hours, and then I pop out. And sort
with
of
a knife.
With a knife, and like I'll strangle you just like a little bit or whatever. But
yeah,
sort of like
strangle me with a knife, yeah.
Yeah, just like as a general prank. But Dr. London, Halloween is around the corner. It's just a couple weeks away. And we have not discussed at all what we're handing out to trick-or-treaters this year.
Yeah.
This is always a struggle because our listeners know this, but we like to be a little different. If you, I want a little Hershey's Kiss. Okay, well, you can go to the neighbors for that. Oh, I want a little baby Ruth bar. Or, I want a Twix. Oh, okay, well then, go to the Boring Factory, aka the neighbor's house, and you can get all that. But when you come to my house, when you come to Dr. London's house, you're going to get some crazy ass shit.
Yeah, I'll say, the neighbor's house is really awesome, and that's where we go for sure. Like, we get our candy from there, because it is awesome. The neighbor's house is incredible.
Oh, yeah, and they give out full bars, and they're just so nice, and they have, like, some crazy displays. They have one of those pumpkins where they can, like, hook it up to an MP3, and it looks like it's talking and, like, singing the song or whatever. And it was singing, like, Gangnam Style.
Yeah, and, like, hired character actors, we go through, and, like, they'll go, like, they'll take you out back, and they'll say, like, by the way, we really believe in community outreach. We help out with the homeless and all this. And like, it's so great. But like our stuff, oh man,
it's been so good. But this year we don't have any ideas yet. So we got to figure out like how to kick their damn asses.
Yeah. Cause it's such a competition and we don't want to do like the helpful stuff or the expensive stuff. So we are in a budget. One might call it a shoestring budget, but like those are pricey now. Yeah. The shoestrings. So
oh gosh, are they pricey? Because that was literally the first thing on my suggestion list that we hand out. Just because kids these days, they always be walking. Yeah. Especially if they're trick-or-treating, they be walking. And so that some of them need a like shoelace, like repair kit or replacement kit.
Well, I think if you remember last year, we went for the shoestring approach and we just told them these are shoes. It's a shoestring. It's a new trend.
Oh, it's just to wrap the string around their feet and say like these are my shoes.
Well, it's like a string bikini, whatever. Like this is the whole shoe.
Oh wow. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, it did. I guess I don't know fully how well it went, but we also kept throwing down our glass bottles after we had a drink, like in sort of the walkway. And I think the combination of those two factors, well, it made it pretty spooktacular.
Yeah, it added a really nice effect to the sidewalk and the grass around that area.
Yeah, really red colored effect.
And just really added to that horror atmosphere.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and there were screams. There were literally screams.
Yeah.
So we got them.
Dr. London, this is already inspiring me for what could be one of the first things we hand out, and it shouldn't be too expensive. But it's one of my many rusty knives that I've used to try to like choke people with.
Yeah, that's well, especially because you don't even know how to use it. So it's not like it's doing you any good. I don't know how to use it,
and I figure I'm too old at this point. It's like trying to learn piano or something at this age. It's impossible. But with these kids, maybe they can properly like learn how to properly use it.
Yeah. Well, this Gen Alpha or Beta, this generation that's happening, man, they love that stuff. They love Rust.
and they love anything pointy. But also just a big part of it is that kids' costumes these days kind of don't match the spirit of Halloween, which is supposed to be just complete horror.
Yeah. And also no thought put into it beforehand, and it's last minute, and you're trying to come up with something.
Well, yeah, past, trick-or-treaters have come to my door and been like, oh, hey, I'm one of the guys from Impractical Jokers.
And
I'm like,
we got a good laugh.
We got a good laugh because it was a really good costume.
Yeah, it was a really good costume.
Which one? They were like, the guy who's wearing the t-shirt and the jeans. And I was like,
that put us on the spot. Because, I wasn't sure what they... I guess I don't pay attention to how they actually look or how they dress so much. So,
listen, all-star costume. Was it scary, though? A little, because of course there's always a little bit of fear when you're dealing with the Impractical Jokers, because you could be talking to them thinking you're having a normal conversation, but they have an earpiece in with one of their buddies telling them ask them if they want to suck on your toes or whatever. Just the most horrifying conversation you could think of. But it's not Halloween scary, whereas I think the addition, Impractical's Joker guy with sort of a rusty knife that you're brandishing and kind of wielding around, that to me captures Halloween.
Yeah. So we're going to hand out the one knife.
I have a series of rusty knives, all different sizes and shapes.
They come in a series. Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't notice as much because I'm being strangled by them usually. It's below my eye line. So.
Well, yeah, and I only use the one for you.
All this talk about Impractical Jokers does make me think that maybe we should also give out earpieces.
Oh, so we could control the neighborhood kids and sort of wreak havoc on the neighborhood. That's a pretty good idea, because we could be telling things like they go to other people's houses, they ring on the doorbell, and they're expecting them to say trick or treat, but the kids don't say that because we're in their earpieces and saying oh, what if you say butt hair? Oh, like butt hair and armpit hair, just something gross, disgusting.
Can you imagine? Well, you know what?
They'd
2 weeks,
out.
You don't have to imagine. Yeah.
The parents on the other side of that interaction are going to freak out. And then we get to tell them, oh, guys, this was all a joke. This was just for our show. There's cameras over there. There's cameras over there. Just go ahead and say hi and wave. This is for True TV. So
you have to get cameras too, I guess.
Yeah, or just the implication of, you can just point anywhere and say there's a camera over there, and there probably is these days.
Practically, yeah. Sorry, impractically.
Yeah. So, knives, earpieces. I'm also going to throw in, how about just personal letters that we leave? The kids these days are too impatient. And so when someone rings the doorbell and says trick or treat, I want to be hang on, hold on a second. I'm going to write each of you an individual note. Yeah, it's going to take 20 minutes. I'm not the fastest writer.
Well, because you don't know much about them. So
I don't know anything about them. So I'm very frustrated being okay, what's your favorite stuff? Favorite show or whatever? What do you do? Yeah, do you have toys or video games? Or just tell me.
Do you go for a walk? Do you have pets?
Yeah, I'm pissed off during this because this is my 30th personalized letter I've written, but I've also already agreed to this because it's going to make it a special Halloween. And also I think my anger and sort of hostility towards them will add to the Halloween spirit.
So that's what we do for Trick or Treat this year. Yeah, I think we got it. Later, Cameron and I are going to break down we're returning to a topic, which we don't normally do, but we just didn't cover enough. So there's going to be more time travel talk, I guess.
Spoiler.
The spoiler here. We're pretty excited about it. But before we move on to that, I would like to address just a little bit of listener feedback. So for a long time, our listener demographic was primarily composed of military deserters, or the guys who like to eat dessert in the military. But in our efforts to cater to them, we found that we were neglecting the many bot accounts that download our podcast. So this first one comes from a bot on TikTok. It's a comment in our response to Guys Do My Comment. At official Daniel Sneed said, quote, give an opinion on fentanyl, end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. Now, I don't want to start controversy, but this has come up a lot. I think that fentanyl tastes so artificial. It's full of GMO. Okay, like, it's just not my preferred flavor profile.
Right. It's sort of like an aspartame kind of thing. Like when you put fentanyl in your morning coffee, sure, are you losing pounds? Absolutely. Are you losing some of your consciousness and just sort of general feeling? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is your intestinal tract slowing down? Yeah. But
are you nodding in and out? But does it taste like real sugar?
No.
No.
It doesn't even, like, I'll say, it doesn't even taste like it's trying to be that. Because I've had the fake stuff before.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I will say fentanyl is great in that you can buy it in such bulk. Like, I can do my weekly Costco trip and then come home and I've got fentanyl and it's so universal, I can sprinkle it on eggs. I can sprinkle it on a hamburger. I can kind of do anything with it. And so that is nice, but you're trading off for quality.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, you know, if you were going for something else, like, let's say salt or sugar, they actually sell that in pretty significant quantities as well. So I found, because, like, first I was stuck on the fentanyl stuff, but then I tried expanding and I was like, well, what if I tried salt on my scrambled eggs? You know, what if I tried sugar in my coffee? And I found, like, significant like a positive difference.
I get that, but have you ever actually tried snorting salt or sugar? Because that is definitely not the same either.
Yeah, no, I guess I've been focusing on, like, the flavor, and I know a lot of your flavors from your smell, but I feel like whenever I snort, I don't taste as much.
Right.
If that makes sense.
This is where I don't want to detract from fentanyl's sort of, you know, advancements that it's made. It is sort of a jack of all trade, master of none kind of thing because it's so universal. But yeah, you know what? It's not perfect for everything. So I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Well, just emphasize again, it's so universal in that technically you can put it on stuff, but it doesn't taste better or, like, improve the stuff. Do you see? Maybe
it definitely snorts better than salt or sugar.
Yeah, and I feel like I haven't
tried.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my
again
lack
jack
of
all trades.
Yeah.
It's sort of a
if you can snort it, it's a jack of all trades. Yeah, I see what your meaning is there. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for that feedback, and I hope that our answer fixed your life. Now for today's medical topic: Struvite Nephrolithiasis, which is a kidney stone. So nephro refers to kidneys, and lithiasis refers to a calculi, or a hard object like a stone. There are 4 types of nephrolithiasis, but struvite nephrolithiasis specifically is known for causing staghorn calculi. This is referring to large branched renal stones that occupy the renal pelvis and at least one calyceal system. So this is literally, it doesn't even get out of the kidney. It's a stone that gets formed in the kidney and gets stuck there. So it's big and, like, spoiler, it's usually a surgical issue. But such calculi usually manifest as infection and hematuria instead of the acute pain. So you'll pee blood and you'll have a kidney infection because, once again, it's so far up that it gets into the system directly.
Do you ever get tired of, how do I say this? You know the famous saying, ignorance is bliss?
Yes.
And this podcast, or this portion of the podcast, is all about educating people. So it's kind of the opposite of bliss, right?
Yeah. No. Hey, can I say I agree with that?
Yeah. And so does that ever weigh on you that by putting all this, for me, I don't like to teach anyone anything. I don't like to learn anything because I don't want to affect people's happiness. And I don't want to make everyone like, oh, I'm so miserable because I'm so smart or whatever.
Can I check you on this one? Because here's the way you opened this up was saying, did you know this? You were testing my knowledge. And now you're educating me. And do you see?
Now I'm making you unhappy. Yeah.
Now you're the doctor. Yeah.
Wow.
So, like,
Wow, I've been called out.
Yeah.
Hypocrite 101 over here.
So it is.
Me
I don't want to hold it
class
against
on
you,
hypocrisy.
but like you were, like I was learning there,
You're right. No, it is a trap that we can all fall into, and we're all
Yeah.
guilty of. So yeah, I will let you go ahead and educate people, even though I know it's just sort of doing damage on everyone's psyche to learn about these things, peeing in the blood, and the word renal over and over and stuff like that. But
so in struvite nephrolithiasis, the pain generated by renal colic is primarily caused by, if the stone does get past the kidney, the pain is caused by dilation, stretching, and spasm because of the acute ureteral obstruction. So it's literally like having a sharp rock in the same place that usually just has urine passing through. Clinically, patients with
where does the rock that's usually there go? Actually, don't tell me. Again, I don't want to know. I want to be ignorant.
So there's usually not a rock.
I mean, sure, I guess if like you're kind of like an old boomer, sort of out of touch. But yeah, everyone under 40's got a rock up there. Like a gem, kind of like a diamond or something.
I don't think so. I think of oysters.
No, I've never shoved like an oyster up there. That sounds really painful. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does. So clinically, patients with struvite nephrolithiasis may present in the classic way with sudden onset of severe pain originating in the flank and radiating inferiorly and anteriorly. Location of the pain can change based on which part of the urinary tract is obstructed by the stone. Half of patients also have nausea and vomiting, and the intensity of the pain can make patients have high heart rate, high blood pressure. They can writhe because of the discomfort, and they can have dramatic costovertebral angle tenderness. But initial tests for struvite nephrolithiasis are the same as for other kidney stones, which is a urine dipstick test to demonstrate blood cells, with a test for bacteria or nitrite. And then a urine culture in case of a positive reaction, and then serum creatinine level to measure how the kidneys are functioning at that point. And then,
are oysters and clams like the same thing, or are those different things?
I haven't seen them both in the same room.
Okay,
but I don't know if that's a definite answer. Okay. It's one of these things, like, does one fit into that group, or are they both separate?
Now you're just teaching me again, basically.
Okay,
just by it's information you don't even know, but just the fact that you're thinking through it logically, is destroying my happiness, my bliss.
I could tell, yeah. So diagnosis of struvite nephrolithiasis can be done with non-contrast abdominopelvic CT scan. That can determine the stone location and density. Renal ultrasonography is another approach that can be used separately or in conjunction with plain abdominal radiography. Intravenous pyelogram is another imaging modality, along with plain renal tomography, retrograde pyelography, and nuclear renal scanning. Treatment for struvite nephrolithiasis includes IV hydration, NSAIDs like ibuprofen, alpha blockers like tamsulosin to facilitate stone passage, antiemetics like ondansetron, and antibiotics because of the associated infections. And for the stones that are 7 millimeters or larger that are unlikely to pass through, like I said earlier, you're most likely going to have to go through surgery, get it cut out. The formation of struvite nephrolithiasis can be impacted by inadequate fluid intake. So, and urinary tract infections can also contribute to the formation of this kind of stone specifically. So drink plenty of water and avoid having kidney infections, I guess, and urinary tract infections. That's going to be the takeaway here. This makes a good segue, easy segue into our main topic for today, besides struvite nephrolithiasis. That's time travel. You got to be prepared. And you'll remember last time when we talked about time travel, we established that you can't time travel with your clothes, that you have to do it Terminator style. And so you go back in time naked, but you can bring stuff with you, I believe was the rules we established.
Yeah, you can bring like a bag and some like extra, like you could bring a change of clothes.
Yeah. But like I usually don't. I like to,
Yeah.
be kind of free for once.
This is solely because the inventor of the time machine is a huge perv. Like,
Yeah.
Logistically, the clothes should be able to travel back, but it's simply because the old crank of a inventor is kind of a perv, and he thought it was sort of freeing that everyone ends up on the other side nude.
Yeah. Which, like, I'll say a lot of great inventors have been pervs. So, like, I don't want to be calling this guy out for this specific thing. And when I say this guy, we haven't met him yet. We just know that time travel is inevitable, and he's going to be a perv.
Leonardo da Vinci had a human male penis.
Okay, I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, just to let you know how much of like a pervert he was.
Sorry, how do you know that?
Studies.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
We went over there and we dug him up out of his pyramid.
Yeah. Did you have to like Tetris it out? All the blocks?
Yeah, because it's especially hard because when they all align, then they disappear.
Yeah.
But like then the local government gets really mad at that.
Okay.
So you got to shuffle it around in a way that like it's not falling into perfect place.
Okay. Yeah, man, you know so much more about Egyptology than I do. Over my head. But another thing I should note is that as we talk about sort of just all the prep you should do, we are also going to be taking some listener feedback just so that we can to address everything that everyone's been asking. So last time we covered the classic issues like should you go back in time and either kill Hitler or seduce him, just stuff that everyone's going to be thinking about when they first go. Now we're going to focus on the less traveled paths. Okay, what do people not always think of with time travel? For me, I do think of dinosaurs. Okay, but I don't want to be around them. So I guess I rule that out.
Yeah, and I have a great suggestion for this, Dr.
Okay.
London. Go back to when dinosaur museums weren't so crowded.
Okay.
So go back to like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Just because it'll be slightly less crowded than now, just because of population growth and whatnot.
And then so we have to do all the prep work for going back in time. Okay, so to a decade ago, does it cost money to get in the museum?
A decade ago? Back in 2014?
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. Do you have money that they'd accept? Are they going to recognize your dollars?
I think I have a solution. So when you go back in time, you're going to have to get a job.
Oh, yeah. And this is going to be difficult because you're going to have to sort of assimilate into this culture that is going to be unfamiliar to you. Like, this is a culture where Uber's only been around for like 2 years rather than 12 years.
Yeah.
And and it works the same and is cheaper and is better.
Yeah. Grubhub doesn't exist or isn't popular yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah, I think all of those things, DoorDash, whatever, I think all of them did exist and were cheaper and generally just better in every single way.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to really struggle.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be, so ready to pay like $45 for a 6-minute Uber ride.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh, this is only $11.
Yeah.
How do I tip in the app? The app won't even let me tip the guy. You're going to be freaking out. You need to prepare for these scenarios.
You're gonna have to start, so you're gonna have to start carrying a debit card again instead of using Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever. You're gonna have to credit or debit cards. Those and this is gonna be okay. So you'll go up to these machines, and normally you tap, right? We all know to tap.
Yeah.
Now you'll slide. And you're like, what? Is this a slip and slide? No.
Sometimes they'll be like, oh, we don't slide anymore. You gotta do the chip. You gotta stick it in.
Yeah.
But it was there was this crazy insane period where sometimes you had to slide and sometimes you had to insert the chip. And it was kind of the Wild West. It was literal chaos. Yeah. You had to interact with the cashier sometimes. Like not every time, but every once in a while you had to maybe say something or they said something to you.
Oh. Man, that's the people say like is there a time you would pick to live in? And like, I don't think I could. You know what I mean? A decade ago, I don't think I could do it.
It'd be tough. I mean, it would be tough. I have to kind of put myself there like, oh, Fancy by Iggy Azalea is going to be on the radio. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Like, am I emotionally prepared to be like kind of dancing all the time to that song when it comes on? Am I going to be prepared for, just a couple years from now, the Leftovers will be over because it's already on at this point. Okay, but then it's going to end in like 2016 or something. Am I prepared for that?
Justin Bieber, I believe at this point, isn't popular anymore, but he will get really popular because of an Ed Sheeran song that he sings. And so these are all these things that you're going to have to get used to pop culture. I didn't like him for a little bit, and now I do because the song was good. And these are things that like, this is why we prep. This is why we prep. So,
you can't, I'm really sorry, but you can't use TikTok, when you're back there. Like, even if your phone has that app, the locals will see you as sort of this witch or wizard. Like, how does this person, I'm sitting here with my own iPhone 7 and this person has like an iPhone 15.
Yeah.
And they're showing me this thing called Tiki-Talkie, and their minds can only comprehend every other social, like all, the like 30 other social media sites, because they're all the same except for that one.
Yeah.
So they understand those, but just not.
Yeah, well, it's so like, when you talk about how people will try to kill you and think you're a wizard, I'd say like we didn't even get past that until like last year. Like I was actively hunting these people who had this app because I don't understand. I don't really understand it. It's TikTok. I don't,
Yeah, I just tried to stop wrapping my head around it. Like, okay, this is a little box and it is kind of showing me sort of a portal into someone else's life. And sometimes that other person's life is like a clip from The Sopranos from 25 years ago or something. But it's like I'm literally looking into this person's life.
Yeah,
Tony Soprano.
No, and speaking of which, sorry, we do have a comment. This is a comment on our song that evokes the feeling of a new Minecraft movie teaser. This is at Chetta_Dave said, quote, "Thoughts on new Alien movie," end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. So they just came out with an Alien movie. So I don't know if we need another, like a new one yet.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's been a while, I guess, but E.T., I feel like E.T. was just so huge that I'm not sure culture is ready.
It's going to overshadow.
Well, it's just going to look like a copycat. Like, how are you supposed to make an alien movie, a movie about an alien, when it's only been 42 years since E.T.?
Well, a generation has yet to die off with you know what I mean? Like the memory still is held fast in the infrastructure of our minds. So, I'd say, I mean, maybe like start out with just like, let's just have more Skittles commercials first, like just to acclimate, because that was most of the movie, I think, right? It was Skittles.
Yeah. Reese's Pieces.
Oh, Reese's Skittles.
Yeah. Skittles. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so if this listener is thinking like, oh, they should make another ET2, I will say I'm right with you.
I don't know if another ET2 would be. I think
we're ready though. I think after 42 years, we are finally ready for an ET2 to kind of see like
another ET2, another ET2 or ET2, because you remember I made ET2, and you've been talking about should we make another one?
Yeah, like the sequel to ET2.
Yeah,
ET2 too.
Yeah, ET2. Yeah, which like we're still playing with it in development, but anyway, I think either way we don't need another one yet. Is kind of where I'm landing.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Let's rethink this in another 10 years.
Or go back in time. And then think about it in 10 years, and that's right now. So what? So tune in for that if we do that.
Yeah. Well, and Dr. Lennon, this is actually going back to our time travel. This is sort of what I want to talk about. Is we're focused so much on traveling to the past that we haven't really discussed traveling to the future. And I think this would be a great opportunity to go to the scary future of 2032. That's 8 years from now. So not quite a decade, but that'll be the 50th anniversary of ET.
Okay.
And that's sort of a world I can't really comprehend. In the same way that someone from 2014 couldn't imagine, like, oh, what would Uber be like if it was twice as much? Like, I can't really comprehend what 2032 is really going to look like.
Yeah.
But this is why you have to prepare for the unpreparable. You have to prepare for the things you can't really expect. So for me, for example, I'm bringing a gun. I don't really know, especially if like these liberal yahoos sort of take over the country and sort of create into this socialist paradise or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many of my guns are going to be allowed. And so if I can take that through the time machine, that way I'm prepared for anything.
Okay. And like, just to, and like, are you taking all the guns? Because I know your harpoon gun, I feel like has multiple purposes. Like shooting porpoises.
Yeah, but I mean, I would never.
Yeah.
In a million years do something like that.
Yeah.
Just because it's a waste of a good spear, but
yeah. So okay, so you'll bring some guns. I think I'll bring. First thing that came to mind was duct tape, but I assume that duct tape will be out of date by then. It'll have all expired, or doesn't that happen with duct tape?
Or it'll just be out of fashion. Like people will be like, "Oh, you're using duct tape."
Duct tape.
So I guess I don't know what's better than duct tape. Like,
well, they haven't invented. I don't think it's. I think it will be invented.
Yeah, but we can predict like goose tape, for example. What's the logical step up from duct? It's goosed.
Is it? Yeah. That's the strongest waterfowl that I can think of.
Yeah, goosed tape.
Goose tape. Okay.
Well, not goose tape, because it's not duct tape, right? It's duct tape.
Right, so it's goose.
And this is goosed tape.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. And that's well, this is why we talk it out. This is why we plan.
And this is not my decision. This is just something I know is going to happen in the future.
Yeah. So we'll be on the lookout for goose tape, because like obviously once again, it has not been invented yet.
No, but we can pick up some goosed tape probably at the Amazon store.
Yeah.
I don't know. I even wrap my head around the concept of a Walmart or Target or grocery store or 7-Eleven even existing 8 years from now.
Well, here's the thing.
When everything's on our phones?
Here's what I worry. Okay? Because I see this happening in culture. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, the world is ending, whatever. Whenever you say the Amazon, I think it's just all going to be Amazon rainforest again. By that time.
Oh, I've heard about this because climate change is cyclical. So we're going to hit a period pretty soon where
it's jungle.
Sort of our houses are destroyed by extreme forestation.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about deforestation. Have you seen forestation?
Have you seen the happening? The plants actually want to take it back. Yeah. And at a certain point, our politicians are so gutless, they're probably going to just say yes to the plants. And
especially in 2028.
Yeah.
By then, our politicians will be essentially slaves to like ficus trees.
Yeah. Which, that does bring up a good point. So it's 2032. Yeah. That'll be an election year. Oh, do we have to go during an election year?
Yeah, we have to. And guess who's running for president?
Mr. Beast?
It's going to be Mr. Beast versus E.T. Because, again, E.T. is going to be riding the high of the 50th anniversary of E.T.
Can I say, and this is going to sound bad, and like probably I shouldn't say, maybe edit this out, Dylan, but like, I think E.T. might be too old to run by that time.
I think that's a little ageist. I'm thankful you didn't say like, oh, well, isn't he an illegal alien in probably the most literal way possible? Yeah. To which I would say, well, by 2032, that won't matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, not with the jungles taking over.
No, not with the jungle sort of jungle warfare becoming the predominant lifestyle.
Oh, and by then also we can't yeah, we have to call it jungle warfare because guerrilla warfare will have become offensive because of the actual guerrillas that will take over and be pummeling us. I think they're gonna take over. Once again, like this is me trying to read geopolitics from a distance, you know. So
yeah, I mean, I would say one thing we can expect is I think Avatar 5 will have come out maybe a year or two prior, and I think that both because of its quality and because no one will have ever seen sort of 3D like that, probably 4D by then. I think you'll have a lot of people disassociating and not knowing what's real and what's fake. Also, the metaverse and Ready Player One and Facebook, Meta, and all of these kind of things. So you're going to be dealing with people day to day who they don't even know if they're living in a virtual world right now or not.
Yeah. Whereas
and that makes them really susceptible to being tricked. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, like, we've run a test to make sure we're not in a simulation. We're almost positive now. Well,
if I was in a simulation, I should be able to say out loud, Google hemorrhoid cream reviews. And then I would know that information. Yeah. Right? Because we would be living in Google, basically.
Yeah, that's living in Google.
But right now I can't do that. I have to say, Siri, hemorrhoid cream reviews.
Yeah, and then they give reviews for all of the hemorrhoid creams. So sorry to interrupt here, but we do have a comment on response to Let Me Buy You a New Phone, Better Quality Camera. At Witter said, quote, "This quality is really holding your podcast because it's interesting, but I just can't stand the pixels," end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. We get this complaint a lot. We have tried videos without pixels. Turns out the videos are like made of pixels.
Yeah, it really, really doesn't work. We've tried using 4 or 5 pixels, and that does sort of work. But it would be essentially 2 dots on each of our eyeballs that you'd be seeing, which to me is not as compelling as seeing like Dr. London's like nose and his nostrils and all these different things.
Yeah, well, you got to see the flare. That nostril flare.
It? Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty good, right? Well, and that's partially because I've been able to visually see it and work on it, which you wouldn't get if we had no pixels. So that's
I think just in general, it's a little bit rude to sort of take it out on the pixels. Like, look at the pixels right now on your phone. They are working overtime. They are working so hard, and we are stretching. Look, they're overworked. We get it. Yes, there should be like 1 million pixels right now to make up this video, but there's only like 500. But they're extra hard workers. So give them a break.
Think of the audio quality and how, like, just the words that we're saying, the content of our words, and how bad that is. And you're blaming the pixels?
Oh, God. If we were clear, if you could actually see us and hear us better, you would be losing your damn mind.
Yeah. So, like, just like, if you're going to play the blame game, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game. I think is how that saying goes. So, but thank you so much for that feedback. That's really helpful for us. You know what? We do have another follow-up one. This is a comment on Dr. London's Stroke song. This is from @Balfungus. They said, quote, "Rick," end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback.
That one, I mean, that one's for me.
Okay.
Unless, have you been going by Rick at airports as well?
Mine's in the forest. I go by Ranger Rick. What are you?
I'm Ranger Rick, but I'm at the airport. I'm kind of sort of flagging people down and then writing citations for various, forest specific things, but at the airport, and it's kind of like it's basically just like a fun game.
Yeah, no, that's not unlike mine. So I go into the woods wearing all flannel because, the uniform, right? And then I save hikers who are lost. And it's so funny. They don't even get that it's me. They don't know that it's me the whole time. So
they think it's like a tree carrying them to safety.
I don't know. I don't know what they think, but I'm so good at getting into character like this. I go into the woods. I rescue, I'll climb down a ravine and like get them out. They'll be trapped under, rocks, whatever. I'll lift them up, get them out, give them food, carry them to safety, and they won't even get that it's a joke.
Oh my
man.
God. And you get them so good. And are you filming all this? Are you filming all this for your
I
TikTok?
almost have thought of doing that.
Oh man.
Man, what if I thought to do that?
Because mine is very similar in that I'm sort of pouncing and surprising a lot of the people at the airport, but I'm kind of just hassling them and saying like, oh, you can't bring food in here. And here is sort of this vague space.
Yeah, because it's not the airplane. It's
like just the gates at the airport.
Yeah, like the baggage claim. Yeah.
And I've been really thinking about like putting this sort of like hostile harassment on my TikTok and filming it as well.
Man, I honestly, I don't even know if they get it. It's so Kaufman-esque.
Oh yeah, it's like
so
Lynchian.
Funny. Yeah.
It's actually Lynchian and even a little bit Kafkaesque.
And Orwellian, yeah.
It's even like Orwellian.
Yeah. So
and Kaufman-esque.
Yeah. So I hope that answered your question. Thank you so much for that feedback. Traveling forward in time. Do we think we covered that for the most part?
We've covered that.
Okay.
We can move on to the next subject.
Yeah. So let's go back in time, not to dinosaurs, but to caves times. So,
oh, wow.
In the caves times, we can be hot shots. If we could make fire, man, if we could actually start a fire.
Well, and this is the tricky thing, Dr. London, in the same way that in 2014, if they heard about us, paying double for Uber prices, they would burn us at the stake. Us trying to explain to these cavemen like Uber prices and like surge pricing, I do worry it's going to confuse them a little too much.
Yeah, I get it. I did jump ahead to the fire thing because that's not until you're really acquainted, and usually your icebreaker talk is going to be like, "Man, these are kind of cheap," or "These are kind of expensive." These prices, on your app that you're showing them.
Well, you're right. I'm trying to show them like the cut the rope game, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, you actually can get additional plays, but you have to watch an ad first.
Yeah.
And so then I'm showing them like, oh, this is an ad for like Glad trash bags.
Mm-hmm.
And this, we haven't even gotten close to the fire.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling because I know if I explain this on the wrong way, they're going to think I'm some witch from the future.
Yeah. No, and so for me, because I do come from a different culture, I'm trying to explain to them Mushroom Wars 2, my phone game that I like. And so for that one, similar issue though. You do have to watch some ads to get use your skills extra times.
Oh,
and so once you have to explain like, well, and sometimes the app crashes if the advertisement is too intense. So you're just, and you've got the lighter in your pocket and you're like, I could really show them fire right now.
Yeah.
But like, we got to get through, like, I have to basically establish social whatever.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, we're going so far. Like if going back to 2014, yes, there's a lot of stuff we have to explain, but something like Fraggle Rock, people in 2014 are already aware of that because it's already been passed. Going back to caveman times, that's a subject we're going to have to breach. And you can't just talk about Fraggle Rock. You have to talk about the Muppets. You have to talk about why, like, they're separate entities, even though it's all under the, like, Henson umbrella.
What I just realized, that's before E.T., right?
Fraggle Rock?
And Caveman.
Oh, God. Yeah, it is.
Cave times. So...
Okay, so they haven't seen an alien movie. So this gives us an opportunity to invent E.T., and then show that to them, and then we get all the money from that.
Yeah, okay. We can take these suckers on a ride.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
so yeah,
I got this idea from a friend of mine, Stevie Spielberg, back home.
Don't. We can get the credit for it. You pitched this as we get the credit, right?
Oh, right. So I shouldn't even bring up my friend Stevie Spielberg back home. Okay.
Yeah, So what you need to prepare for that time travel trip, you need a portable DVD player and a DVD of E.T. I don't know if there's a special edition, but like you might want to watch behind like deleted scenes or whatever.
Yeah, and like commentary.
Yeah, commentary.
I'll be like, that voice on the commentary, that's me, because this is my movie.
Yeah, that's been my voices like that. And that's just like, man, and then like also maybe Fire. But
Fire you'll get around to after E.T. and maybe like Blazing Saddles and a couple other like kind of classics.
Yeah.
I will say one of the issues is that you have to get through these movies quickly because the diseases you're going to be spreading to them are going to, I mean, it's going to kill them so quickly.
Yeah.
But I feel like you've got to, it's not going to be like instant. Like you've got a few days to sort of like, catch
before
them up
it sets in. Yeah.
On Fraggle Rock, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but we do have some listener feedback here. At FW_EC said, quote, "When you blow up, it's going to be lit. Make sure you don't have anything people can cancel you for." And then thumbs up emoji, praying hands emoji, crying emoji, end quote. So thank you so much for this feedback. I think this bomb threat is making a great point. They said we're going to blow up.
Yeah.
But also don't get canceled.
I really think either way it's going to be good for the podcast, right? Because if we were, for example, if a bomb is going to blow us up live on the pod, I really think that will do numbers. If we exploded, if I held a bomb sort of in between my teeth and we exploded, don't you think that would like maybe get even like 300 views, maybe even 400?
If we boosted it, if we paid to boost that post, yeah.
Yeah, and we'd have to do that on a timer because our brains are going to be sort of splattered everywhere.
Yeah. So like the logistics, like that sounds exhausting.
So I mean that happens on the one end. The other end is we get canceled, which means that, which we've talked about on this podcast many times, that does mean that Netflix and Spotify will give us $100 million. And we've been trying desperately to get canceled for a very, very long time. We've said really controversial, edgy things, like I prefer my Mac without cheese, like these things that are kind of pushing
just cultural boundaries, and
making people uncomfortable, because that's where comedy comes from. Is that's like making people actually uncomfortable.
Yeah, and like if people are comfortable, then they aren't really laughing that hard, except for like the exceptions are like Barbies or Barney. Would be the other, because Barney makes me laugh so much.
Those are pretty funny.
Yeah,
teach you something.
Yeah, well, it honestly makes learning fun. Which if it hadn't been for Barney, I don't even know if I would believe in that. So
well, that's in the way that it's kind of for everyone in all age groups. It's sort of subversive and sort of like giving the finger to the man in that way.
Yeah. Oh, and I'll say I think he's meant to be a dinosaur. So speaking of time travel, what a mind blast. It's a dinosaur that teaches us stuff. But it makes sense, right? It works.
He teaches it. He's basically like mommy teacher back home.
He's a lot like mommy teacher. Yeah. No, I've noticed that too. So I hope that answers
punk as hell.
Yeah. I hope that answers your question. And speaking of time travel, I think we have time traveled to the end of the episode. So thank you so much to our producer Cameron. Thank you to Joe in the house.